Hello everyone, and welcome back to Happily Home Cooking. Fall is right around the corner and I am so excited. Bring on the cool sweater weather and pumpkin spice everything. I have to tell you, I have not always been a big fan of pumpkin anything or pumpkin spice. It's just never been my thing, but the last couple years I have finally come around and I am really starting to love the flavor, especially when it's incorporated into a classic favorite. While straight up pumpkin pie might not be one of my favorites just yet, things like these pumpkin pie cinnamon rolls are definitely a newfound love. We'll be using pumpkin puree to make our fluffy dough, as well as pumpkin spice in our deliciously sweet filling. And then we'll top it all off with a maple cream cheese icing that is absolutely to die for. If you are ready to treat yourself and your family to a new twist on a classic recipe that everyone will love, pumpkin lovers and haters alike, then stick around, this recipe is for you. And of course, if you want to see more of our family's favorite recipes, make sure you are subscribed to our channel so you don't miss out. And with that, let's get baking. So we are going to start with making our pumpkin dough. First thing we'll need is a half a cup of warm milk. I just pop this into the microwave for about 30 seconds. You want this to be between 105 and 115 degrees so that we can activate the yeast but not kill it. We're at 110, 111, right on point. To our warm milk, we will add 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast, or 1 packet if you have the packets, and we will just stir that a little bit, trying to kind of dissolve the yeast. It's not all going to dissolve, it's still going to look a little chunky, but just give it a stir, try to mix it in. And then we'll just set this aside for a few minutes to let the yeast activate while we get some of our other ingredients into our mixing bowl. So in my KitchenAid stand mixer, which I have fitted with a dough hook, we are going to add a 1/4 cup of softened butter. And along with it, 1/3 cup of packed brown sugar, or you could use maple syrup if you prefer. And we are going to incorporate our pumpkin puree right into our dough. We will add 1 cup of this pumpkin. I am obviously using canned pumpkin today, but if you make your own homemade pumpkin puree from fresh pumpkins, that is awesome. We will also add in 1 egg, and our warm milk with our activated yeast. Now it's time to get mixing. I always like to start things on low at first, just so we don't have a splash of yeast milk everywhere. Get things starting to incorporate, and then you can speed it up a little bit. This does not have to be perfect. Just with the dough hook, you'll see how some of my butter is kind of escaping getting mixed in, but not to worry, it will all get mixed in, that softened butter, when we start to add our flour. So now we'll add in 3/4 teaspoon of salt, and I'll give that just a quick little mix to incorporate it. And then we will gradually add in about 4 cups of all-purpose flour. Gradually is the key word here. You do not want to add it all in at once, or you will have flour floating all over your kitchen. Start with maybe 1/3 or so of it. Get that starting to mix in, let your dough begin to form, and gradually add the rest in intervals. Once the rest of our flour is mixed in, we'll continue letting this mix for another 5 minutes or so that the mixer is going to do the work of kneading our dough for us. When your dough is done, it should be pulled away from the sides of your bowl, yet still sticky slightly to the touch. All right, so this is all ready to go. We are going to get all of this delicious dough off of our hook. I find the easiest way to do this is with a rubber spatula. If you use your hands, it is going to be a big sticky mess. So this is the easiest way that I like to do it. You can see here how it's still very tacky, but our rubber spatula is able to pull right off cleanly. So now our dough is all ready to rise. I'm going to cover it with a piece of plastic wrap and just set it aside and leave it alone to let it rise for about 2 hours or until it has doubled in size. When our dough is almost done rising, we can prepare our delicious sugary filling. For this, we'll use 2/3 of a cup of packed brown sugar, 1/4 cup of our pumpkin puree, 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, and my new favorite ingredient, pumpkin spice. You can use any kind you like. I get the McCormick one from the regular grocery store. You can find that everywhere and it is delicious. But I've also found this giant jar of it from the Spice Lab at Costco. It is also very good and you get a lot more of it for your money. You can see though the ingredients are very similar, a combination of cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, ginger. So use whatever kind you can get your hands on or whatever you like. We are adding 2 tablespoons of our pumpkin spice to our filling, and then we will just smush this all up, get it all mixed together. Okay, and then our last thing we will add to our filling is 1/3 of a cup of cold butter. I'm just going to chop this into chunks to help get it started, and then we will just cut this into our filling. I'm just going to use 2 knives with a bit of a scissoring action here, sort of, to just get it all chopped up into little bits and mixed in. And our pumpkin spice filling is ready to go. So now we are ready to start assembling our cinnamon rolls. We're going to start by greasing a 9x13 pan. I'm just using some vegetable shortening. We'll dust a large cutting board with some of our flour. Just kind of spread that around so that our dough doesn't stick as we roll it out. Then we will turn out our dough onto our floured cutting board. Again, using a rubber spatula is the easiest, least sticky, messy way to get your dough out of your bowl. We'll dust the top of our dough with a bit of flour as well as our rolling pin. And then we will gently roll out our dough into a large rectangle, approximately 12 by 17 inches. Now we will spread our pumpkin spice filling over the top of our dough. Just keep spreading until it's nice and thin. You do want to reach all the way over to the shorter sides of your dough, but you can leave some empty space along the longer edges. And now we are ready to roll this puppy up. Start along one of those longer sides, and we're just going to roll this all up, trying to keep it moving as evenly as possible to make a nice log shape. I did mine kind of at an awkward angle today to make room for my camera, so don't mind me here. Just don't let your dough roll all the way off the corner of your cutting board. We're going to bring this around here, make sure it's all wrapped up nice and tight. There we go. So then I'm just going to kind of pat in the ends a little bit. You see how they're kind of narrow? I'm just going to kind of pat them in so that they are closer to the same thickness as the rest of our log. And now we can cut this into 12 slices. I like to start by just dividing it in half, and then dividing each half into half, and then each of those quarters into 3 pieces. That way they come out a little bit more even. Now we will arrange our cinnamon roll slices into our greased baking dish. Do not worry about them looking a little messy or deformed or imperfect. They are all going to rise and bake up beautifully, so do not worry about them looking like a bit of a mess at this point. Not a big deal. As I go, I try to shape them into more of a circle. You'll see how they're kind of a bit of an oval shape after we have cut them. So as I put them into the baking dish, I will kind of try to pat them into a bit of a circle shape. And we will try our best to evenly space these throughout our baking dish. Quick little rearrange, there we go. And then these are going to get a quick second rise. So again, we will cover this with a piece of plastic wrap and we will let this rest and rise for about another 20 to 30 minutes, or again, until they have about doubled in size. While they are rising, we will get our oven preheating to 350 degrees. After that quick rise and our oven is all preheated, we'll remove that plastic wrap and then we will bake these for 25 to 30 minutes until the tops are light golden brown and they have an internal temperature of 190 degrees. Once these delicious beauties are all done baking, then we are going to let them cool down to just warm before we add our icing. While our cinnamon rolls were baking, I have washed out my mixing bowl. And so to assemble our icing, we will start with 2 tablespoons of softened butter and 4 ounces of softened cream cheese. I'll use my whisk attachment and I'm going to beat together our butter and cream cheese until they're all creamy and nicely combined. To this, we will add 3 tablespoons of maple syrup. Again, you can get a nice big jug of this from Costco. And then we'll give it a whirl, get that all mixed in to our butter and cream cheese. Next, we're going to be adding our powdered sugar. I'm just going to remove my mixing bowl quickly so that I can sift our powdered sugar right into this bowl and don't have to dirty up another one. So I will be sifting and adding 1 cup of powdered sugar. I don't like extra steps, but sifting your powdered sugar will really help cut down on any lumps in your icing. And then back into the mixer to combine all that powdered sugar into our other ingredients. Like I said before, I always like to start slow so that we don't have a cloud of powdered sugar in this case. Start that mixing in and then you can turn it up a bit higher. Partway through, make sure that you scrape down the sides of your bowl so that all of that powdered sugar is making it into your icing. Once our cinnamon rolls are no longer scalding hot, they have cooled to a nice warm temperature, we can go ahead and add on our icing. Just spread it around. Again, a rubber spatula works great for this. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to dive into this warm, delicious pumpkin spice cinnamon roll goodness. If you want, optionally, you can add a little sprinkle of some more of that delicious pumpkin spice for a little decoration and of course extra flavor. and you are done. Your pumpkin pie cinnamon rolls are ready to be gobbled up by your family. Of course, as always, make sure you taste one yourself first for quality control purposes. These cinnamon rolls are so soft and moist and fluffy. It's the perfect balance of the pumpkin dough, our delicious pumpkin spice filling, and that wonderful cream cheese frosting. Thank you so much for watching and sharing in this family favorite recipe of ours. If you enjoy this recipe, please give it a thumbs up. And of course, make sure you are subscribed to our channel and have your notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on our next delicious recipe video. I wish you a wonderful day, a delicious fall pumpkin spice season, and happy home cooking!